Hey out there. This is my first video and I wanted to share a little bit about myself, mostly about my opinion of the world and how I believe that it works. Um, there's a lot of people that have opinions about the world, but no one I've talked to really seems to have quite the same opinion that I have. I have a very outward opinion on the world. To the point that I don't really think the world is real at all around us. Not not anymore, at least. I did, but not within the past probably 6 months or so. I came to this understanding of how the world is. Um, for me to really tell you how I think the world is, I need to tell you a little bit about myself and how I started onto this journey of learning about the world. And trying to understand it as much as possible, which is all that I'm trying to do right now. Trying to figure out why we are all here, why we are all separated here as well. About 3 years ago, I moved to Phoenix with my wife now and our daughter, and when we moved here, we started to eat a lot healthier and we got rid of the chemicals and everything, basically. We got rid of the chemicals in all the food we eat, cut out all meat and animal products because they are full of bacteria and chemicals as well, even the organic stuff. We got rid of all the chemicals in our cleaning supplies. We use vinegar to clean everything now. We use soap nuts, which is a nut that produces soap, to wash our clothes. We use everything natural. If we ever need to use something, we find out what we can use natural, and that's what we use. We don't use any chemicals at all, except for things that we absolutely have to because we have no choice. We're not the ones making the product, such as our water is fluoridated and has chlorine in it. You could smell it when it's coming out the tap. So we have a filter that gets it all out, but I'm sure it doesn't get nearly all of it out like it says it is. Like it says it does. I don't really trust any brand names anymore to do what they say that they actually do after learning what I know now. After we got rid of all the chemicals, I started to realize that the world is not how I perceived it as. It's not the place that I thought it was. Everyone doesn't tell you things that are true, and this, I thought the news, that I don't really think that politics were true necessarily, but I thought the stories on the news were true. I thought sports were real. I thought people who were making music were real people who worked their way up to being in the music industry somehow. I thought that basically what you're told, the American dream, is possible, but now I know that it's really not. After we got rid of all the chemicals and I started to notice all these things, I started to pull myself away a little bit from what I was doing. I used to come home from work. I work 8 hours a day. I'm a IT tech that unfortunately I'm still doing. This is going to be my last job, though. I will not take another job if I get fired, which I think I will. But there's no way I'm ever going to have another job. It just goes right into the system that I don't ever want to be a part of. And after I started to look at things, I realized that I was wasting a lot of my time doing stuff that didn't matter. I was playing games for probably 3 to 4 hours a day. I would sit on my computer at the same time, and I'd have another TV on with ESPN or something on that I wasn't watching. I just had it on to see if something interesting happened to pop up on the screen. I wasn't even watching it at all, usually. I was usually paying attention to the game I was playing. I would do this almost every day, and on the weekends I would play games even longer because I didn't have to work. I would play sports as well and stuff like that, which I don't even do that anymore because I don't need to. With how I eat, I'm super thin and healthy as can be because I eat mostly fruit and then some vegetables. Um, which I think fruit's the most optimal thing that you can eat for your body. It's the has the most nutrient in it, it has calories, and it's tons of carbs, which is where your body likes to get those calories from. It's all about helping your digestive system and getting everything through you as fast as possible. Which when you have the chemicals, the meat, the animal products, cheese, um, yogurt, and anything that they make out of that, it all has full of bacteria and chemicals, which then stops your digestive system from working right, and it actually excretes into your body, and it makes you sick, which you don't realize because you're just used to it. And your body's very resilient at fighting it, so you really don't know until you try to work your way off and you actually get sick because you are detoxing from all the chemicals that are in your body and bacteria and parasites and everything else that you don't know is inside of you because you can't see the inside. And you're so numb to it, you can't feel it either. And once I started to stop playing games as much. I don't even own any game systems anymore. I had PlayStation 4, PlayStation 3, Xbox. I had both original PlayStations. I had the SNES, Sega. I've owned Atari at a point. I got rid of everything. I sold it all because none of it actually helps me. It was all wasting all of my energy. It's not really time. It's energy that I'm wasting, putting it all towards it. And we sold our TV. We got rid of it all after a certain point. But initially, I started to do that stuff less and started to look at what I was doing and just realized that it wasn't helping me at all. And that's when we just got rid of all of it, and except my computer, obviously, which I need for work. But I honestly don't even want that at this point. Then we started to look at all of the stuff that was on the news and just on TV in general. Initially, after we got rid of the TV and everything, we still watched some TV shows because we weren't completely withdrawn. We watched mostly comedy stuff, which we still thought that the actors and people were real people that were in everything. We still believe that it was still possible that the music industry wasn't completely corrupted, that there were still some artists that were making good music. Because there are people that make truthful music, but if you really listen to it, it's none of it's the complete truth. They're deceiving you in some way, shape, or form. The one thing that they all do is they give you a message, though. There's a message in absolutely everything that you can learn from, which I know now. We still somewhat partook in the entertainment industry at first. And we slowly started watching videos on YouTube and stuff about the Illuminati, which is totally made up. But that really got me started with looking and seeing what is actually out there in the world. And eventually I just came to my own realization that all these people are fake that are out there. The people on the news, the people in sports, I still thought that some people in music, though, weren't fake because of the music they make. But pretty much I thought that unless you were independent and separate from everything, that you were absolutely controlled and doing it for the purpose of stealing our energy. I also started I looked into ancient Egypt history, the spirituality there, a little bit Hinduism and stuff, and a lot of it I think is true, but there's still deception in all of it, which I didn't think at first, because that's the point. It's a religion. It's a religion like anything else. You have to have a faith in it. You have to just believe in it. There's some things that they don't explain in it, and there's no one asking those questions because that's the point of a faith, is you just believe at a certain point. You just can't. You don't go past it. But once I finally started to withdraw myself from all of that, I started to realize that it's all fake. That even the music we listen to, the sports that I was watching, I still watch sports a little bit, not that much, but I enjoyed watching the sport because I thought I was watching something that people were actually doing. I thought that was an amazing catch they made, so I enjoyed watching it. And I looked up on the internet, just how do they rig these sports? Because I knew that they had to be rigged at this point. So I was looking it up, and I found a channel, which I'll include down at the bottom in the description, Zachary K. Hubbard, who shows you how to do Gematria, which is the practice of coding languages. He shows you the English language. It is coded into multiple languages. I believe every language is coded with some form of Gematria, into numbers. And at this point, I already knew a lot about numerology because I was looking in ancient Egypt and everything. I knew a lot about the zodiac and all of my numerology chart and all of that stuff. I was well aware of what numerology was. So when I found Gematria, I instantly knew that this was just some type of codex that they put over numerology to confuse us with what they're doing, which is exactly what it is. It takes our words and turns them into numbers, and these numbers create certain energies, which that's what the whole world works off of, I believe, at this point, is energy. And once you realize that, it all flows a lot more. You see how everything's connected. But I would definitely recommend checking out Zach's channel. You have to watch, I'd say, at least 5 to 10 videos before you're really going to start seeing the coincidences in it. But they're absolutely there. He has over 1,000 videos. They're about history, sports. He does current events, stuff that's in the news right now. He decodes. There's tons of stuff that you can definitely find something that you are interested in, that you will see how it is all coded by the numbers. Every last bit of it. And he also has a blog that he follows up on and does a lot of decoding of the news articles and just breaking down the numbers for you to see, to get people more aware. Because Gematria is definitely a great way for us to realize in a physical form on this world how it is all being connected around us without us realizing. But it actually goes way farther than even just connecting everything with Gematria. That is how they give us these subliminal messages for how we act for almost everything, which once I started to realize this, I started to question what I'm doing and why I was doing almost everything. Because you don't realize how much energy you put towards things that really aren't helping your own energy. They're helping others people garnish your energy and take it from you, that's what taxes are. They take your money, which is your energy, without you even saying you can. Without you even saying they can. They just take it. That's why they have donations, so that people will put their money towards those donations for the Red Cross and Salvation Army, which there's been numerous articles from major news sources that say that most of these donations don't even go to these sources that they're donating for. That people still donate because they are programmed to. They're programmed to give up their energy, which I believe, which is what this world is all about. That's the only reason this world exists. So after I started to realize how it was really all about energy and how the world was built around energy and how Gematria, they were using it to send us different types of energy through words, through phrases, in music, during the songs, with the type of rhythm they're playing. It gets you in a type of trance, and you just listen to it. Even if you think you're listening to the words, you're really not, which I realize because I go back to songs now and I listen to them very, very closely. And the things that I hear now, it amazes me with the stuff that I believe they're telling us. I definitely think there's a message in almost everything that's put out there, which I think there has to be. To really trap someone, you need to put the truth out there and make everyone think that it's a lie. Let me talk a little about the subliminal messages. How they do it is, first you have to understand Gematria. So I encourage you to go and look at Zach's blogs. I'm not really going to talk about it that much, but they give you a word. So and the word will break down to a certain numerology. Like say the word kill equals 44. So there's other words that also equal 44. And they'll put those words in articles or in movies, and then when you see kill, you won't be surprised from it, or you will even expect it because you've been put into that type of energy, into that mind frame because of it. Which this is how they do the predictive programming, to get us to not be surprised when something happens in the current events, even though it's all lies. But they use the news articles to give us predictive programming, and they also do it in other ways through images on the screen, through music in certain ways. But I think the most powerful way they do it is definitely through gematria and just reading words. Words are magical, which I'm sure you've heard that before. There's all types of sayings that totally make 100% sense to me now with the mindset that I have, that they never truly made sense. You just hear them and that's it, and you go along with them. But words are magic. They have magical powers with whatever you're saying with them, and as long as you're aware that they are, you can notice what they're doing. Then you don't actually have to know what everything breaks down to and the numerology of everything. You just have to be aware of it, I believe, to actually to stop it from interfering with your energy and to take control back of your energy. There's I don't even know where to start. There's just so much that I could talk about regarding it. Let's think. The problem with the subliminal messaging is it doesn't stop at just predictive programming. They literally just program us to do certain things. We are programmed from the time we are born until we are free to finally choose to do what we want to do, which then by that point we've went through being ripped out of our mother's stomach at the hospital, taken away from her. They try to make it disconnect from you and your mother as much as possible at the hospital. The hospital is a horrible place to have a child. Which we did have our first child there. My wife actually had a C-section, which is absolutely horrible. But we didn't know any better at the point. And they ripped the child away. They cut the umbilical cord right away, which is still pumping nutrients into the baby, so they're not even getting all the nutrients that they should get before they cut the cord. Then they if it's a boy, they circumcise them, which obviously hurts them, even though they say that they're not going to remember it. Trust me, you actually remember every single point of your life. My daughter has actually told us that she remembers, which we never asked her this. She came up and asked us if we remembered this, that she remembers coming out of her mother's stomach and seeing her, and that whole entire scene there, which is amazing. I don't have the connection with my mind yet to quite remember nearly all the stuff from my childhood, but I'm working at it. And they take the baby into the back room and wash them with chemicals. They give them formula, which is full of all kinds of chemicals that is absolutely horrible for them. Then they finally bring them back to the mother and let you hold them. I mean, you can request out of this stuff, but most people don't because they don't know the difference. They do what they're told, which is the programming. You are programmed to listen to people who have degrees or who are of a certain stature for no reason at all. You just are told to, so you go along with it until you can finally break away from it, which I have done at this point, and I'm 26 years old. I mean, it took me 23 years to finally start realizing it before I was able to start doing and progressing on to what I truly believe not that I truly believe I want to do, what I truly do want to do with my time or my energy that I have here on this earth to expend. And after, I mean, right after you get to 5 years old, I mean, even before that, you're learning from your mother, who, and your parents and your family, who are also programmed into the world that we're in with the same messaging. So they're telling you already how you should act, how you should believe, and not letting you go and decide the stuff for yourself. The parents are here to guide. They're not here to tell you exactly how to do things. You're supposed to figure that all on your own, even when you're that little child. But we're not told to let them do that. Most parents treat their children as slaves. Not necessarily to the extent of telling them to go do stuff for them, but just the simple fact of telling them to do stuff for the most part is enough for them to be a slave. I mean, there's absolutely some things that you should take a stance over, because a child can't necessarily understand everything in the world, like the food that's in everything. My daughter still doesn't fully grasp why she can't eat things at certain points when other people still eat bad and are eating all these stuff with chemicals in them. She it's not that she doesn't know it. She still has the programming in her to react and want it, unfortunately, which is only going to change with age and with understanding for her. So that's when we step in and just re-explain why we don't eat that stuff and why we don't do certain things like watch TV shows and movies and play on the computer and stuff like that her cousins and stuff do. It was hard at first, but she is a lot better now with understanding all that stuff. I lost my train of thought. The subliminal messaging, so that it programs us, and it basically makes us react. We react a certain way, which it's happening all throughout our childhood. Once we hit 5, we're in kindergarten and we're listening to the teacher, and we are told to listen to the teacher and believe what they're saying because they are teaching us something. When it's true, it's actually the teachers are the ones that we should not be listening to, because the teachers are the ones that are programmed by someone else, and they're just teaching us the program they learned. They even call it a college program because they are programming the people that are in the classes to do what they are telling them in a way that a lot of the professors or teachers don't know even, and the students definitely don't know because they're too young to know. Their brains aren't developed to understand how their minds work. Their minds understand all of this though, which is why it works still. Even when you're a baby, your mind is still completely fully aware of everything that is happening around you and everything that is going on. Your mind is a powerful. It's not even really a thing. It's just in a whole other place. It's very powerful, more powerful than I even know, because I don't have that strong of a connection with mine yet. Still, I'm only starting to realize the connection that I think that we can have with it. And up until you're from 5 years old until you're 18 or 19, you're programmed with school. And a lot of people get a job when they turn 16 as well. So you're also expending your energy completely towards something else during that. And a lot of kids are in extracurricular activities, which also puts their energy into other things that do not matter in the end. People say, it's good to be active, it's good to get out and do things. It's not true. It's not true at all. If you're being active in a way that is not useful of your energy, you shouldn't be doing it. You are absolutely better off sitting there and just relaxing and connecting with your mind, because that is way more important than trying to do these activities that don't really service you in any way in the end. That's the understanding that I've come to, at least, that there's many of the things that are put around us in the world are just there to get us to use our energy to for things that aren't for us, basically. Um, so for that whole entire time you're being programmed, and by the time you're done with it, you got a college degree, you got a GED, you are officially programmed. You are considered you're acting exactly how they want you to act. You react, really. You don't use your mind. You just react to things, which I used to do all the time. I I I'm still working on not reacting to certain things. It takes you consciously knowing that you are reacting, or you had a thought that you were going to react, and thinking why you were, because it all comes from some type of programming, a TV show that you watched a very long time ago that you just watched a bunch, or just TV in general, because they really put the same programming in all different TV shows, all different movies, all different music, all the words. It's all over the place in the advertisements and marketing, in all different ways. It's all used to program us to act a certain way, which in the end, it really closes our mind up. It makes us not think outside of the world. We can't even fathom something outside of the world, that there's ideas that they cannot be explained right now, that when someone asks you or talks to you about it, that you completely react and think that person's either crazy, or some people will get upset. Some people just won't talk, because it's all how they were programmed and how they took on that programming and the reaction that they're spitting back out because of it. That's the reason people get upset for out of nowhere, I believe. Why people feel sad at certain points for no reason. It all comes down to the programming that we were exposed to throughout our whole entire life, which there's a lot, because the whole entire world, I believe, is a program for the most part, to keep us in the program, which we need to get out of it. So as you get older, you start to either realize what's going on and you just don't do anything, which I believe this is a lot separated by the poverty line. It depends on where you are at with how you perceive the world. People who are poor or in prison, in places that aren't considered the best places in this world, they realize at least the corruption that's around in the world. But the problem is they either don't question it enough, or they just don't do anything to change it, even though that they know that something's not right. And then the people that have more money than the rest of us, those are the ones that think that people are crazy a lot of times when they start talking about something that's outside of what their mind is used to handling, because their mind has been so closed down, which my mother is an example of this. She doesn't even believe in Gematria that much, even though I have completely proven it to her on multiple occasions. And it all comes down to the programming, though, and what you're around and what you still surround yourself with. Because these material objects all have certain energies to them, and they all push on us if we're not aware of it, and change our own energy. Same as people. When we're around negative people, we get more negative because there's an energy that's actually coming off of it. When we're around people that are laughing, we laugh because there's an energy around it that is pushing on us. Even if you're positive, it doesn't mean you're really doing your own thing, because you have to be aware of all the energies that could be around you at any point, and you have to keep your own in alignment, which it just comes with questioning things and figuring out what truly helps you become the person that you want to be, and to do the things that you actually want to do in this world that we're in with your energy. So with the programming, it really makes it hard for people to talk about things that are outside of the scope of what their mind is used to talking about, which is usually material objects. A lot of people talk about money, their jobs, school, the things that they are actually doing in this world is what they want to talk about. They want to talk about the past, the stuff that they just did, that they did 20 years ago, they did when they were a child. That's what people focus on the most when they're talking in this world, is the past, which the past isn't anything to really figure out how to go in the future, because look at the world around us. That is not working at all. History, his story, is not a way to proceed in the world and to really figure out what's going on around here. So that's basically all I'll say about the programming. If you want, put in the comments. I'll go into more detail about it, about how I think it really works, and of how they really get down and program us on the finest of levels. That it's amazing. But once I realized this and all the programming around us, and I started to change my perception and how I look at things, I stopped believing everything. First, because of Gematria. Gematria completely shows you that every news article is fake out there. Most of them are completely made up news articles. A lot of them, the major events that we see around the world, are actually hoaxes put on, that you can decode in numerology, and by the numbers that they're broken down with, you can tell if it's a hoax or if it was a real event. Like 9/11 was a real, it wasn't I guess you can say it was a terror attack. It was a terror attack by the people that control the world, because they are the terrorists. But it was a attack on us in our subconscious. It was literally an attack that did kill a lot of people. Which is an absolutely horrible thing, but that's the type of people that rule this world. They're not afraid to kill people, but they usually don't do attacks like that. Like the recent attack that was in Brussels on March 22nd, which is 322, which, if you guys are familiar with Skull and Bones, the number that's on their logo right underneath is 322. That was the reason it was on that date, because it was aligning with Skull and Bones. There's a lot of other things as well that align with it. Zach has some great videos on it. And it was a complete hoax. It was all fake. It was all staged, which even if you don't look at the numbers, once you know that a lot of these things are fake and you watch them, you can completely tell it's fake. There was one video where they were holding a baby, and it was actually a doll they were holding. And you realize this stuff. You can notice this stuff once you stop looking at it, that it's actually a real event, and open your mind up, and your mind actually tells you this stuff is here without you actually seeing it, because it's your mind that really knows all of this and understands all of this. Our stuff that's in our body and our brain that's in this world, it's all a reaction that is from our mind, and our brain is very slow at processing things. We only see so many things through our eyes. We can't see that much. It's our mind that really picks it up. That's why it's so important to have a strong connection with your mind, because you'll really start to pick up these messages then. And so I mean, you can tell, I mean, instantly right off the bat that some of these things are false now. And I started to listen to some of the music that I used to listen to. I used to listen to KRS-One, who is actually one of the reasons that I started to open my mind up some, because that's the type of music he makes. The problem is that he talks about history a lot. he talks about spiritual things a lot, and he talks about all this stuff like it's real, like it is actually true, which I absolutely do not believe in any spirituality, any religion, anything that involves a faith or belief system is something that was created. And it was created for the purpose of keeping us programmed into something else, for us to go back to and have to align with some way, because they created these things. So as long as we're aligning with it, they can still take our energy, and we're still going to end up at a dead end. We're still not going to really get to what's going down here. And once I start to realize that everything is fake. Literally everything in this world is a mathematical equation. It's all connected. All of these numbers connect in ways that you can't imagine. They all connect. Like my name equals my birthday. When I break down my name in Gematria, it's 29 and 50. And my birthday is on the 29th day, and my birthday is in May, which is the fifth month. Zeros don't count in numerology, so my birthday is 5/29, which is right in my name, and I do not have a middle name, which my mom decided not to give me one, and I also have my mother's last name instead of my father's last name, which I've heard multiple times when I was younger that I should have had my father's last name just because that's a customary thing to do, but I didn't for some reason. It's all a mathematical alignment that is all, which I believe is out of this world. That's why it's all aligned so much, and it's all put in place by Freemasons, though. That if you watch Zach's video, you'll become very familiar with what Freemasons are, and Freemasons, Zionists, Jews, the Jesuits, they're all pretty much the same people, the same gang working together to stop us. I really think that they're all put in here as separate entities to make us think that there's different people playing the cards, but I think it's really a higher being or energy that's controlling this whole entire world at this point, because it's all set up in a mathematical equation. There's a game that I was looking forward to, which I'm not going to play now because I got rid of all my systems, called No Man's Sky, which is a game of the universe, and it's a procedurally generated universe, which means everything is generated by mathematical equations, and it goes on forever. The game will literally, you can keep traveling forever, and you will always have a new planet or something to go to because it's all generated by the computer. And it's unlimited, which is what procedurally generated means, which I sort of found that interesting once I started realizing all of this, that we could really be in something, some mathematical equation, some kind of procedurally generated world that is just continually getting energy, which is our energy, and taking it and putting it into the world, which is why it keeps growing. Because they say that the universe is still growing. And then it's always expanding from the sense of the Big Bang happened, that it's always been expanding. Which, to me, it would just be from the second that we got trapped, which I will talk about, to now they have been taking our energy and putting it into this world to make it exist. And without our energy, this world would not exist. They take the subliminal messages, program our mind, tell us to do things to put our energy into the world for them, because they're the ones that are in control of the world. We manifest it, they control it. And we need to change that, and we need to take back control, which I believe is just going to make everything disappear in the end, after enough of us start realizing what's going on and take control of our energy and stop letting it go to these people or these energies, wherever they are. So I really believe that it could be some kind of mathematical equation. That's just one thought that I've had recently. But I do think that we are trapped here. I think that we are trapped here. Somehow we got here, which one of the newest ideas that I've had, which I'm always coming up with new thoughts and ideas. That's usually what I'm doing, is sometimes I'll watch movies and stuff and get the messages in them, and the messages that I think that they're putting out there. You guys might get a different message from it, and I'll really put it to this world, because for them to trap us, they need to put the truth out there and tell us and make us believe truly that the truth is a lie, which with the movies, the music, sports, all of this stuff, it's all it's all littered with little messages of how the world truly is, I believe, and how it actually works. There's just so much information out there that you just have to really be careful what you actually take in. That you watch it all, but you don't watch it for the story. You don't care what the story is, because the story is honestly dumb. They all are. You watch it to hear the dialogue, to see that sign that's on the wall, to see the scene and how they have the people placed in the scene. There's all these little things that they do in movies and music. In music, they'll play the beats and these rhythms. They're all very similar nowadays. They're all very techno-y, get you moving and dancing and get you in a certain mood. They all the pop music, a lot of it does this. And it opens your mind and puts you in this trance, and you just start taking in these messages. But when you're aware and you're actually listening, you notice that they say certain things when the music is low, and when the music is high, and when the beat is a certain way. They'll say certain things that either they really want you to hear because they're trying to program you, or they don't really want you to hear because they're putting that little message out to satisfy your mind to being okay with being programmed, which I think is why they put the truth out, because I don't think our minds would take the programming if they didn't put the truth with the programming. I think it really hinges on that a lot to program us, because we are very powerful beings in our true form, whatever that is, in our energy, with our minds and 100% intact. They say we only use 10% of our mind, and or 10% of our brains, which I see that as we only have a little connection with our mind right now, and that's why we're only able to use that much. And as we build that connection, which takes a lot of time, I believe. I was watching the movie Lucy recently, and Morgan Freeman at a part when he's giving a presentation says that it takes, or that there's, he was talking about cells. That's not really how he took it, though. He said there's 1 million cells in the body, and we only use 10% of the power of them altogether. And I took it as we have a lot of connections to our mind, but we have to reform these connections. That we don't have them right now. We only have a small amount of it, and there is a lot of connection that we have to make back to it. There's a lot of energy that we need to put towards it to really get back to a great connection with our mind, so that we can do. I believe we can do everything. I think that we could literally manifest physical objects into this world with our mind, with our own energy, once we have the power of our mind back under our control well enough. Because all of these physical objects, they're just energy. Even if you listen to science, they're atoms. And if you look at quantum physics, they have said that below the atom is just energy. And when everything's made of energy, why can't we manifest something with our own energy into this world once we know how to? Why can't we change energy in this world once we know how to? There's no reason that we shouldn't be able to. The problem, I think, is that we just don't have the connection to really. I don't think we need to know how to. We just need to connect back to our mind, because our mind already knows all of this. It already knows everything that it's being subliminally messaged with, because our mind is limitless. It has no limits, which this world has obvious boundaries in it that are put around us, that they want us to believe are actually there, which is like in a computer program. You can make any program you want. You can make it as hard and strong program that you don't think anyone's ever going to get through. But if someone spends enough time or enough energy, they will get through that program and make it their program somehow if they really want to. I believe that's exactly how this world can work. There's a lot of similarities between computers and how we are in this world, which there's a lot of similarities all over the place when you start really looking and comparing how this world is to everything else, which is really what I do a lot, especially when I'm watching movies. In almost every movie, there's always a plot in it that really, to me, looks like this is totally how the world just is. That this is one portion of how this world really is around us, and it's really amazing once you start realizing it and looking for that type of stuff. But there's just I lost my train of thought again. there's just so much of this energy around us that we need to start to understand and to really start to put our energy towards to go to the right things. So with the Freemasons controlling the world, I really think that they make it look like they're in control from within the world, because there's symbols and stuff all over the place that are Freemason symbols. You can look up on the internet what Freemason symbols are, and they are every triangle, the eyes you see, the Visca Pisces, the two circles that are interlocking, it's a logo for a lot of different organizations and companies like the Olympics, MasterCard, Visa, Chanel. There's all kinds of different things that use that for their logos, but all of these logos are really designed from that format even. So they're all programming us subconsciously through these images as well, which really, it looks like the Freemasons are doing that from within. But I think that it's, at this point, for how everything is connected, that there has to be something greater that's actually controlling us. And I think that there's a war going on, which I think that's why there's all this war in this world, because we're in a war world. It's pretty obvious. We're never at a point where there's not a war going on, which is to take our energy again. It's to get people riled up and take our energy. As long as people are divided, it's easy to take our energy. Once we stop arguing and we come together, it's going to be a lot harder to take our energy, because we're really all energy. We're really all just one being with our own mind down here. That's why it really takes us all coming together to break out of this place. But I think that we're basically in a prison here. I think that there's a war going on at another level that we're not high enough to obtain, because we're down at the physical level right now, and our connection to our mind isn't strong enough to see that world or that existence that is out there. There's really no word that's going to explain it great, because these words are all created within this world. So to explain something that's not part of this world is, for the most part, impossible within the world through words. You can only do it with your mind, and to really see it with your mind, which takes your energy, putting your energy towards it, and focusing on it. Which that reminds me of a movie I seen recently was Focus, which is with Will Smith. It's a gambling movie. In the beginning of the movie, they show there's a scene where they just finished doing the job, and then that they're doing for their gambling, because they're con artists really, and they go and gamble with this Asian guy, and they set up the whole entire bet to the point to where this guy picked the player on the field that Will Smith and his gang that he's with told him to pick through their subliminal messaging. they show a scene where this guy is traveling through from his hotel to the stadium, and the whole entire way he's hearing things, he's seeing things that have to do with the number 55. And in the scene, they show you that it's actually the number 55. But in reality, it wouldn't be. It would be the logo or the word that was there in place of it. And because of it, he ends up picking the player that has number 55 on the field, which 55 happens to be a Fibonacci number, which are considered the God numbers, which is sort of funny that they picked that one for the scene. And he picked the number 55 because he was subliminally messaged the whole entire way to pick it. Yet he thought he was being told something from his mind that was his message. And Will Smith ended up winning the bet because of that, because his girlfriend knew she's seen a person that they work with on the field to pick that number, and they got the money because of it, because they had lost a bunch of money before that to set up the whole entire bet to make sure that he knew he was picking his number on the field, which in reality he wasn't. That's exactly how these subliminal messages work in day-to-day life. You don't realize it, and you think your mind is telling you something that is from yourself, when it's really from the subliminal messages that's been put in your mind. So back onto how I think the world is. I believe that we're all trapped in a prison, and that there's a war going on that's outside of this world, and that our minds were somehow captured and put down here, and we're trapped here. Reincarnation. One thought I have is that when we die, that we could possibly we might be able to just come back and like nothing ever happened. That's one thought I've had, but I really think that when we die, that we get reincarnated right back into the world right away, because I think we're trapped here, and I don't think they want us to leave at all. I don't think they allow us to. A lot of people in spirituality think that when you die, you go back to your spirit, and then you're in a whole other place, that then you can choose to come back to this world whenever and wherever you want. But I really don't think that's the case anymore. I did think that when I was following spirituality things, but after learning how fake that was, and starting to watch things and listen to things, and the messages that's in it, there's a lot of messages about prisoners of war, and being a prisoner at war, and being a prisoner in general, and being a slave, and all of this stuff. And I think that's exactly what we are here. We are the slaves. We are the ones that are giving them energy to allow this world to be created how they want, which is what we need to stop. So I think that we're prisoners here. We're prisoners of war. And I think that it really started out that we were in a optimal environment for us. I think we were in the rainforests, in tropical environments, in the perfect humidity, in the great climates, and we almost forgot of who we were at that point. And from there on, I think they started introducing different things to start controlling our mind more and more, until we are where we are today, where there's basically everyone is under a severe mind control, and you don't realize it. And it really takes just stop and get away from everything to realize that you are not producing your own thoughts. Just get out and walk into the forest and don't come back for a few weeks, and you'll have a totally different opinion on the things that you then see on TV and movies and stuff, because you won't be so programmed to listen to what they're always telling you to listen to. I think that's definitely something that we need to do, is to step away from everything to really understand what's going on around here. The other thought that I have is that, which they also show this in movies with time travel, that we actually get when we die, we get placed into a certain time. And we have these different time periods that we get placed into to confuse us, to confuse our minds, and to so that we think that we're somewhere else when we're really in the same place. We're just in a different time within that place. When time doesn't exist. Time only exists because we allow it to exist, just like anything in this world. Time doesn't exist. We can time travel if we can get that connection back with our mind. We can go wherever we want in time. We can change. I don't necessarily know we can change the time once we go back in time, but we can change where we are in time and what we're doing in time. And I think that it will just change what's going on then at that time. I don't think that time necessarily has any effect on the past, present, or future. I think it's all completely separate events occurring. It's a big, huge story that's going on that is completely scripted and completely written out. And it's the never-ending story, just like the movie says. It's a story that just never ends. Everything's a story in this world, as far as I'm concerned. And you just have to listen to the stories and get the messages out of it to really figure out where we're going here. I could really go on with this forever. I don't want to make it too long. With the being in a story, which is his story, it's not our story we're writing because they're the ones that are in control of it. We're just manifesting it through our subconscious, or through our mind, which is our subconscious, which is really our conscious. They call it our subconscious, I believe, because it's dormant right now. The subliminal messages are for our subconscious. When we make that connection back, I believe it really is our conscious then, because we're in control of it. When we're using our conscious normally, it's really not our conscious a lot of times because there's subliminal messages that are coming out of it and that are telling us how to react because of it. I guess that's really all I wanted to say is I really believe that we're being controlled from the outside in here, and we need to stop and look at what we're actually doing here and take control of our energy, take control of what you're really doing in this world, and focus it on something that's actually for you. And it doesn't necessarily have to even be figuring out the truth of what's going on here, but if you're focusing on something for you, you're going to reopen that connection for your mind, and you're going to start realizing things, and you're just going to start to want to know things because your mind is going to tell you certain things that then you're going to question, because once you get that connection back, your mind just starts moving. It just starts moving and it doesn't stop. Which is how I feel every day. I'm always noticing something new. I'm always coming up with something new, which is why I wanted to make this video, because I really don't have many people to talk about with the ideas I come up with. But I figured I would make a video to put a few things out there that I really think is how the world is around us. There's so much more that I could sit here talking about for probably hours. I could talk about this all day with someone if someone's going to go back and forth with me, and we're going to put ideas off of each other and really question each other and everything else around us, because that's what it comes down to. We have to question each other as well. We need to question each other to get more out of it. We don't need to say that's not right. We need to understand why you actually feel that's not right. Is it because of a programming that you've received from subliminal messaging, or is it really your mind telling you there's something else here? Let's look a little deeper, because that's really what it comes down to. It's all about getting deeper into it, which I really see it as not getting deeper. We're getting more outer. We're going out more. We're looking at it as a bigger picture, which is what we need to do. We're all down here together. Another thing I will say is I believe that we are trapped on the earth. I don't know that the Earth is round. It really doesn't matter. It could be flat, it could be a square, it could be some kind of elliptical shape. It doesn't matter what shape it is. No one will probably ever know, because the world was created around us and we were put into it. And we know literally as much as we are allowed to know, as much as information they put out there. No matter how many people regurgitate that information, it has never changed from what was originally put out there. It's up to us to question it and to come up with the new ideas and information to get out of this trap. And I think that we're stuck down here on Earth, that we've never traveled outside of how high we can go in a plane. We've never been up into space. We've never been to the moon. I have my doubts that if the moon, the sun, and the stars are actually real, that if the clouds are real, I mean, I see them spraying chemtrails. I've seen chemtrails that don't even have planes that are appearing. There's things that just don't make sense. In a physical standpoint of how the world is supposed to work. So it makes me think that even the sky and everything in the sky is imaginary. It could be some type of hologram that's put up there. The sun could be a reflection of some sort that is just some type of big energy source that is our energy that's shining back on us. That's why it's so good for us, because it's literally our energy coming back to us. The moon, if the moon wasn't there, we'd be in pitch black. Which, when we're in pitch black, we're looking right into our mind. When we close our eyes and just look forward, you're looking into your mind. You're back to your mind, and that's why we are never allowed to really be in darkness when we're outside. There's always some form of light. You have the stars, you have the sun, or you have the moon. And the stars, I really believe, are just some type of reflection or hologram in the sky that just moves across it. I absolutely do not believe that there are suns out there and that there's other galaxies and stuff like that. I think it's all just to confuse us and to think that we're insignificant in the universe that's here, when I think the universe is just all right around us. It's as much as we can go around and see and experience ourselves and with everyone else around us. That's the only universe that exists as far as I'm concerned. Unless someone can show me different, take me into space, I'll believe you then. Until that happens, I don't believe. I need to experience it myself, which is how everyone should be. We should be at the standpoint where if I haven't experienced it, it's going to be hard for me to believe it. Because once you start saying that, you start to see that a lot of these things just aren't real. Which we really need to push towards to get out of this hell, which is what it is. We're in hell that we are in, and to get back to our heaven or our energy all over the place. Yeah, so no, I'll end it there. I could still, like I said, keep going on, but I'll end it there. If you guys want me to make any more videos about anything specific, you got questions for me, post them down in the comments. I will leave Zach's channel and blog down there for you to learn more about Gematria, which I really recommend that you go and check that out, because that once I found the Gematria, like I said, I already had figured the stuff was fake. I just couldn't understand how it actually was fake until I found the Gematria and I started to see in a physical form in this world that everything is designed around us. And once I seen that, that's when it allowed my mind to open up outside of the boundaries that are put to us in this world in a much larger way. Gematria is a great way for us to learn how everything's connected in a physical way in this world, which people need to know that, because most people, they only believe stuff that's within this world, and Gematria is a way to prove all that. So I really recommend going and checking it out.